I wanted to ask you about your nephew and cerebral palsy and what you've done kind of on the philanthropic front. But would you be okay if I ask you a couple questions about Chris?
Yeah.
He passed unexpectedly in his 50s of a heart attack, but your sister had said that he was the lightning bolt for our family, absorbed all the trauma, got all the bad breaks. Your thoughts on that?
No, she's right. He was always the strong one. And then his son, Michael, my nephew, was born with cerebral palsy, and that was so challenging. And he really had to be strong for Michael. I mean, strong in every way.
Because he was a primary caregiver.
He can't control any of his muscles. He can't do it. He really can't do anything for himself.
And almost nonverbal, Becky was saying.
It's limited. So Chris, when he had Michael, he was just like, okay, this is what my life is. It's like, you know, the deadlift of picking him up and getting him ready for school and washing him, cleaning him, feeding him. Just every moment of Michael's life depended on what Chris did.
Becky said with Chris's passing, you probably had it harder than anyone because you were away. You kind of never felt more alone during that period. Any truth to that?
Yeah, it was really hard. I definitely felt like I'm so far away from them living in Los Angeles. And it's hard because even when I first moved out here, there was a loneliness because my family has always been my backbone. But there's something about grieving with other people. There's a connection to it that makes it sometimes more bearable, maybe.
You were quoted as saying, like, you didn't know if you would make it.
Yeah.
How did you get through, whatever that tough period was?
I read books, which is, if it were only that easy. Because I kept thinking, when does it get better? Like, I just need to know when it gets better because I can't even imagine it. I can't even imagine feeling happy. But when you read it and someone else has been through it enough and understands it enough to be able to write it, just that if you feel like you can't do anything right now, you can't get out of bed, you can't make a decision, then you shouldn't, because you are experiencing grief, and that's where you're going to be for a while. And it's like, that was helpful, even though it's not what you want to hear. I wanted to hear, on day 26, you're going to wake up and feel a little bit better. There's not a moment, but there will be. And for me, it was helpful because of Bobby, because Bobby has lost 2 brothers and his dad. So I know that he's been through this sort of grief. And I remember asking him, like, oh, when does it feel better? And he didn't give me an answer. And I was like, ugh, is that bad? But I was glad that he didn't, because there's nothing that you can say. It's just like, it's walking through the fire. You're just gonna have to walk through it.
How special has it been, what you've had the opportunity to do with Michael and cerebral palsy on the philanthropic front?
Yeah, my nephew Michael is very inspirational. It's been amazing working with all of the people at UCP, different families with children with cerebral palsy or any other type of disorder or something that needs special attention, kids that need special attention. So just knowing that there are people you can talk to, people at UCP, parents can go in and say, oh, I don't even know where to begin. They'll say, oh, we do, we can help you. You know, for people to hear that is life-saving.
Tell about the cold call you made right after, kind of understanding Michael's situation.
I didn't know anything about cerebral palsy. I didn't know anything about it. And I was living out here, and I just looked up United Cerebral Palsy because it has cerebral palsy in the title. And I was like, they must know something about it. And I drove to the local UCP chapter here, and I sat down and talked to them, and they said, okay, let's get you guys going in Orlando, and I'm gonna introduce you to somebody over there.
And what happened from there?
We toured around the UCP, school for kids, and they can help you identify exactly what kind of needs that person has and how they can help and how they can mobilize them, how they can teach them, how they can, do different types of therapies. So it was just it felt hopeful, It's like, oh, okay.
And give a little more color to this event that you guys put on
every year.
Typically in the spring, yeah.
Well, every year I think it's usually in April, UCP does a big gala. And I've been hosting it, I don't even know how many years, 18 years or something like that. And now Rachel Harris does it with me. And when we started, we would do a poker game the night before just because I was in town and we would all play. And somehow the poker game started growing and growing. So now it's a poker game the night before and a gala the next night. And they raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we just have a really fun time. And it's usually silly and fun.